Guys, this might sound crazy, but I actually learned how to read this year. I'm very proud of myself. I read some books, really only 2, and then some manga that I want to talk about too, but we'll get to the manga later. But I've been reading this series, Dune, this past year. Well, started reading it like last year, near the end of the year, like winter. I've been going through each book. First it was this, then this, and then it was, Children of Dune, then got Emperor, and the book I'm on right now is Heretics of Dune, and then for some reason I have 2 copies of Messiah, because I'm very smart actually, and I bought 2 copies. And then I'm about to be on the last Dune book by Frank Herbert, Chapter House. But no, this series has been a very interesting one. But yeah, it's been very awesome and very cool. And I actually got into it because the movies, they with Timothy Chalamet. I've seen that there's like 3 other versions of Dune, or at least like 2 older movies and stuff. And so I was watching those movies, or not the old ones, the new movies with Timothy Chalamet. Those are sick as heck, I'll tell you what. And so I was watching those. I really got into those like last summer. It was right around when Dune Part 2 was coming out, so whenever that was. And that really led me to picking up the book for the first time, or a book for the first time since I was in high school. And yeah, this is sick. Out of the 5-ish I've read so far, I'm trying to think which one was my favorite. The original Dune book, it's very long, I'll tell you that. It's like 800, focus. Okay, whatever. It's like 800 chapters, so there's a lot of pages. And I mean, these other books are just as long. And you gotta think, when I've been reading, it's been pretty much only Dune for these past couple months. Apart from this other book, which I'll get to. But yeah, pretty much only Dune. What is the thing I like about it the most? Obviously, it's a series, so there's different characters. There's a lot to it, I'll tell you that. But out of the original Dune book, the first Dune book, Paul Atreides, his journey, and the classic story of a hero, and like going on a sort of adventure, I guess you could call it. It's wild, and it's something I've never really seen before, and it's just so cool, like this sci-fi setting with different planets and big wars, and you could tell the person behind this, Frank Herbert, was a very interesting man, to say the least. Very interesting person. But yeah, this the stuff that this book goes into, it talks about, it shows, and like even just the world itself, the world building and stuff, with like you have the spice, you have these like colonies, or the Sardaukar for the Emperor or whatever, the Carino people, or the Atreides. I don't know. Seeing Paul Atreides' journey through Dune, and then Dune Messiah, and I guess a little bit of Children of Dune. I don't know if that's spoilers or not, but Paul Atreides is a cool character. I'll tell you that. Very, very cool. It's very mystical. Like, I've never seen any Star Wars films or nothing, but Dune, this is like the first actual sci-fi sort of story I've gotten into, besides like anime and stuff like that, or like Gurren Lagann, Code Geass. Those are some decent ones. But besides those, like, when it comes to books, I never really read sci-fi at all growing up, so a very great sci-fi story to get into, I'll tell you that. If I had to choose which one of these is my favorite book so far, God Emperor Dune. This was alright, although it felt like more of just like a placeholder, like a building block for the story, like a stepping stone. Dune and Dune Messiah, they're the story of Paul Atreides. Very, very cool, I'll say. Children of Dune, well, these 2 stories are connected. Children of Dune is reminds me more of like the first book of Dune, where Paul Atreides is going on an adventure and stuff, while God Emperor Dune just feels like the aftermath And that's kind of what Messiah is to the first book of Dune. Oh shoot. I almost knocked over my microphone. But that's pretty much what Messiah is to the first... Oh, I'm holding it back. I'm holding it backwards. It's kind of like the aftermath of everything. It's very weird. But also very cool. Because it kind of, you know, like with these stories of heroes and like, you know, becoming very powerful people. This book is about Paul Atreides. This is more so about the tyrant, Leto II, which, honestly, in my opinion, I think Children of Dune is my favorite. Leto, he's awesome. I love the tyrant, Leto II. Oh, he's the best. He's the coolest. Might be my favorite character throughout all the stories, all the manga I've read and stuff like that. Leto II, he's sick as heck. And Heretics of Dune, this is one, what, I'm on like chapter, oh shoot. On chapter 400, or not chapter, page 400. And there's this one character in here, Miles Tegg, that I'm really enjoying. And honestly, I think this is going to become my new favorite out of the Dune series, because Heretics of Dune, this is like the 5th book, so there's just such a sweet spot in this, and like it builds on so much of what we've seen throughout Dune. Ooh, Dune is already a pretty not a complex story, but a very layered story, and so this just like keeps on building more bricks and just adds so much to the universe of Dune that like I did not see coming. And the characters in here, you have Miles Tegg, you have all the what are they called? The Bene Gesserit woman. All those people, and pretty good story so far. And I'm near the end of it, so like I'm reaching the climax pretty much. I think I've already reached the climax, so pretty sick. And yeah, now Chapter House. That's what's up next. The last book in the Dune series. I'm excited to read it when I do. It's sort of bittersweet for me because I've been reading this all year and stuff and just getting to know the Dune universe. And it's going to end very soon for me. Well, not end. I could always come back and reread these. Or, you know, we got part 3 of the Dune movies coming out soon with Timothée Chalamet. But such a cool universe to get into. I'll tell you that. But that was Dune. And now this story I read, honestly not, it was like 2 years ago, I think. Sometime in like 2023, 2024, but Dave Grohl, the Storyteller. I think I marked a little passage here because I don't know why I marked this. I still remember the look on her face when he entered our dressing room later that night. It was the same face that must have made when I met Little Richard or Paul or any of the obscure, unknown, underground artists I loved. The moment where the one-dimensional becomes the three-dimensional, and you are reminded that these sounds that have given you a life of happiness, escape, and relief all began with flesh and bone. As Mary Jane cried tears of joy, I could only think that Jimmy would have too. This one, it's a sort of autobiography, like a collection of memories, stories from this musician, Dave Grohl. If you don't know who Dave Grohl is, he's I really hope you know who Kurt Cobain is in Nirvana. This guy, he was a part of Nirvana. He was like the 7th drummer. And so he played with Nirvana, and then, you know, in 1994, Kurt Cobain, he passed away, sadly, and rest in peace. And so this guy, Dave Grohl, what he does after Nirvana goes, he kind of tries to stay away from music because, you know, it's a lot of grief with music, in his own words, or a lot of like paralyzing fear. He was scared to listen to the radio because music, he was just afraid music would paralyze him. And so he would he just avoided it for a couple months, and it was when he was traveling through Ireland, saw this dude with a Nirvana t-shirt on hitchhiking, and he realized then that he can't, this is music, in his own words, it's not gonna hurt him, it will heal him. So yeah, definitely I'm a musician too. Maybe not a good one. No, I'm a great musician, I'll tell you that. I play bass, drums, although I'm not the best at drums yet, but one day. like the video. Oh, like the video. Yeah, definitely a huge inspiration for me. Because after he got back into music, he made this band called, a very well-known one, the Foo Fighters. Foo Fighters. This is sort of a collection. He made this in 2023. This is sort of like reminiscing on like just old times, you know? Or like old memories. So you literally get to read about the life of a rock star. And I love it. This is a good book. It talks about a lot of things. It talks about his daughters, his family, like going to shows and stuff, and like albums and music, and his experiences with like rocking out and being a part of Nirvana. He goes into Kurt Cobain in some sections, and really just some interesting stories. And then I heard the 5 words that changed my life forever. Have you heard of Nirvana? I don't even know if I'm showing you, but not counting that one, I've read 5 books this past year, and they were all Dune, of course. They were all Dune, pretty much. So, yeah, pretty awesome, good books. I bought a whole bunch of books that I plan on reading, but Dune is just so gosh dang long, and each book has like at least 400 pages. That these are some very long books. So when I do this review, or do another book review next time, there'll be more diversity. You know, it won't all be just Dune. And I guess get into some other stuff. These are what I'm really into. Manga. I have 3 of them for you, and I guess I'll go grab one more. Make that 4. So let's start off with Chainsaw Man. This is one of my favorite stories. Tatsuki Fujimoto, he's the guy who made this. He made Look Back, Goodbye Eri, Fire Punch, and probably his most popular one, Chainsaw Man. Very great anime, very awesome anime. If you haven't watched it or read it, I'd suggest get into the manga, but really the anime is just as good, surprisingly. And yeah, I think there's a whole new movie for one of the parts in here. Like a little arc. They're coming out with a movie soon, so that's pretty sick. I love Chainsaw Man, dude. I really do. Oh my god, Chainsaw Man, you guys don't even know this stuff. Denji, Awesome Itaka, who else? Power, Aki. I have a whole bunch more videos on Chainsaw Man, so I won't go into it really at all, but just know that if you ever want to get into a very chaotic but also very sort of deep manga. It may not seem like it, especially with some of the things that this dude does, Denji, but this is actually pretty deep, I won't lie. Or it can be if you're looking for that sort of thing. If not, if you just want some cool action fighting stuff, that's also in here. And like just some of the things, spoiler, but isn't that just sick? Bro, Chainsaw Man is so cool. Children X, I've talked about this manga a couple times on my channel. Pretty interesting one. Very out of the picture, or out of, this is very, how do I say it, just in its own element. Like, I've never read a manga that just was so, like, the closest one would be like Chainsaw Man, where it's just so in its own element that like when you read this and you get into the world, it just pulls you right in and keeps you in there. It does not let go. And this is just so wild and wacky, and Suisha just has such great art that like I can't help but explain it in any other way but fun. And although it gets serious during moments and stuff like that, it's just really cool. Again, I have a couple more videos on Children X, so go watch those. Anyways, the manga Bible, I bought this for the meme. Straight up. It's sort of interesting. I guess I am religious. Well, yeah, I guess. I am religious, so, like, I believe in God and all that. And if you don't, if you're like, you know, I don't believe in him or whatever, that, you do you, man. I don't really, it's not my say in the matter. Honestly, I bought this very ironically because I just wanted to say I own the manga Bible. Like, that's just funny. So I guess on a more real note, the art is very stylistic, and I mean, I guess that's how all manga are, but it's very, you could tell that this is based off of a book because the dialogue is so, like, compare that to Chainsaw Man, this dialogue and stuff. Obviously there's some like spreads and cool pieces, but a lot of it is very dialogue heavy, while something like these other manga like Chainsaw Man, look at the dialogue in Hair. Although there is dialogue, obviously, that's part of the story. That's such a, just out of context. what is going on here? But yeah, this is just, you could tell that when someone is focused on the art, they're focused on the art. So yeah, Manga Bible, it's alright. This is pretty spooky. Pretty spooky, I won't lie. And I saw this video from The Masked Man like 2 years ago, and so I went out, I read this, all of it, online, and then you guys ever play that game? I saw this in a Barnes and Noble one day. I was like, oh, I've read this before. And this is more of a collection of short stories, like short horror stories. They're very short, so like, I guess to give you some vibes. Ooh, this is, ooh. I don't even know if I could show this on YouTube, dog. Why does that remind me of the Pooh? It's like a mobile game or something. I remember playing that growing up, but very creepy, to tell you the least, or to say the least. It's by Masaki Nakayama. Or like, look at this. This is definitely this sort of vibe. I've never read a manga and not really a whole bunch of stories that are so atmospheric and so like able to make you, just through the art alone, this is very expressive. And what it's expressing is something very creepy. I'll tell you that. Let me try and find something. I like, look at this. No words. And now the bird it passed away, so. Very creepy. How about, I guess I was gonna end it there, but I was like, nah, I don't like ending things on a dark note, so. Vinland Saga, Dr. Seuss bookmark, yes sir. This story, it definitely needs its own separate video soon. It just ended. It's by Makoto Yukimura, but the beginning portion of it is very action oriented, and that's kind of the way it stays throughout most of the manga, most of the story. Vinland Saga is about this dude named Thorfinn, who is a Viking, and in his past, we see that his father got killed by this dude called Askeladd. And so Thorfinn, he spends a long part of his life just chasing after revenge. Pretty much his whole childhood, his teenage years, just chasing this guy that killed his father to get revenge on him, right? And so he's chasing, and eventually, after a very long journey, Askeladd dies. And it isn't by the hands of Thorfinn. And Thorfinn is right there with him when he passes away, so he's just like, what do I do now with my life? And so that's only the prologue portion of it. And I guess the rest, what the story is actually about, is like sort of finding peace and finding strength within yourself that isn't through violence, but instead of just your own being, your own power. And you know, these are my favorite types of stories that I read, that are very, how do you say it, very introspective, they make you think a little bit about your morals, about your values. And that's one of my favorite things about manga. Even something as crazy as Chainsaw Man, this story may not like even appear to most people as something deep or something that will teach you something, but I've definitely learned a lot just from reading manga and like learning lessons and valuable just philosophies from stories like this, even from Chainsaw Man, dog. But yeah, Vinland Saga, it's very philosophical. Very philosophical. And Chainsaw Man, it's very crazy, sort of horny, I won't lie. But just, it's awesome. I love it. And yeah, Denji's pretty cool. Anyways, that's the end of this. Peace. Actually, I'll play you guys a song. No, okay, restart. 1, 2, 3, 4.